Hey everybody, how's it going? How you doing, friends? This is Rob Dukes, and welcome to the Put Up Your Dukes podcast, episode number 9. Been a kind of a crazy week. I fed a giraffe. Well, I tried to feed a giraffe. Actually, so the giraffe was eating food. He dropped it. I picked it up and tried to give it back to him, and then he didn't want it anymore. So, fuck him, you know? Went up to this place called Out of Africa. It's a rescue place for animals, tigers, and saw rhinoceros. And I'm divided, right? I know they rescue these animals from other dire situations, and the dire situations shouldn't even happen in the fucking first place. But regardless, there's something about seeing a tiger that just in a cage just makes me really sad, and it did. One of the things that happened was this big ass fucking tiger. I mean, he was a big boy, and he was like behind this mound of dirt, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on? Sorry you're in here." And then I realized I'm like, "Oh no." He's taking a shit. I'm like, I'm trying not to stare while you're shitting. And I just was kind of talking to him. And then the fucking smell hit me. And holy fuck. I had to like run away. Because I was like, and I put my shirt over my mouth and my nose. It was so fucking horrendous, the smell. And I mean, it traveled 100 feet, 200 feet. I just started running away, and then eventually I didn't smell it anymore. But god damn, those were fucking. It was brutal. I guess that's what happens when you just eat raw meat all the time. I'll tell you a quick story. Speaking of animals and shit, so I was a kid. I must have been about 7, maybe 8. And I lived in a place called Lake Maggiore. It's in St. Petersburg, Florida. It's this huge lake. It's actually not even that big. And I lived on Lake Maggiore Boulevard. So I lived like right across the street. And I would go down there and there were turtles and there were alligators. And in the back of the lake, if you knew, because I was a kid, so we kind of just I explored everything. In the back was where there'd be baby alligators. So basically, they would breed them. There was like this little pond off of the lake, and in this pond, was where they would have the babies, and there'd be big ones in there too, but mostly little ones. And then, as you went around the lake, there were always alligators just sitting and waiting. There were stories where they would come out of the lake and they would eat dogs that were chained up on people's lawns if you had their dog on a leash, like on a runner. And plenty of stories like that. Plenty of stories of they just, came into human space and had to be eradicated. Sorry, I don't know what happened. I'm drinking coffee. Anyway, so I would go down to this lake and I would fuck with the alligators. I would catch turtles and snakes and all sorts of nonsense. So one morning, I'll never forget this. I was about 7 or 8, and I was riding down to the lake. And I'm riding my bike, and I come across a fucking huge web. And I mean huge. I mean it was 10 feet by 15 feet. And it was one gigantic web. And I'm like, what the fuck made that? So I was like, holy shit, I was mesmerized. And I got a stick and I poked it. And out came this spider. I mean, it's bigger than my hand. It was this fucking big. It was as big as a plate, as a dinner plate. So I at the time I didn't know what kind of spider it was. I I assume it was a banana spider, which I've seen since. It wasn't a tarantula. It was way bigger than a fucking tarantula. So I ran home, or rode my bike home, got a shoebox, and brought it back. And I was going to catch this spider. That was my plan. So I didn't want to catch it and put it in a cage. I wanted to catch it and put it in my yard so it would do that in my yard, right? That was my big plan. So I get a stick and I catch this spider after fucking with it for a while, and I got it in the shoebox and I took it home, and I was riding my bike and I pulled into the house, and my grandmother, that's who I lived with at the time, she was like in her garden, like pulling weeds or whatever, and she goes, "What's in that box?" And I was like, "Well, I caught the spider and I'm going to let it go in the yard so we can have in our yard." And she goes, "Spiders? We don't want any spiders." And I opened the box, and she flips the fuck out and took a fucking huge rock and just smashed this fucking spider. And then she looked at me and she's like, "You're getting it." And this was I grew up in an era where you'd have to go get your own switch, which was a piece of tree, and you'd pull all the leaves off and they'd hit you with it. Well, I wasn't about to go through that for the spider, but she grabbed a branch and started chasing me, and I was just laughing. And she couldn't catch me, of course, because she was old as fuck and I was a little kid. But I thought it was funny that she was chasing me. Anyway, she killed that fucking spider. I really wish she didn't, and I could have had that fucker in my yard, because this web was magnificent. It was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. So the zoo going to the out of Africa reminded me of that story. It reminded me of that there was a zoo next to Lake Magori, and I'd go there, and I remember going there and just feeling sad. It's always made me sad. I don't like zoos. I'm not a fan. I don't like SeaWorld, of course. It's brutal. Anyway, so moving on. This week's episode is brought to you by martyrstore.net. If you like brutal music, you're going to love the new Corpse Grinder album that is coming out February 25th. George Corpse Grinder Fisher is the lead singer of Cannibal Corpse, and he's now launched a new project called Corpse Grinder, and they're releasing their debut album next month. Vinyl will be out this summer, but right now you can pre-order signed CDs and cassettes and merch at martyrstore.net. Use the code Dukes at checkout and save 10%. That's martyrstore.net. Use the code Dukes and you'll save some loot. I've heard a couple songs off this record, and it is phenomenal. They actually sent me the whole thing. I need to download it and listen to it. I was going to wait till I was in my car and give it a whole fucking, like, sit at the beginning and do my thing where I listen to the whole thing all the way through and take that experience. So this week, my guest is Jack Gibson, bass player of Exodus for like the last 20 years. And I pretended that you guys haven't seen the Exodus DVD, so I kind of went through some of the same stuff you might already know, and then other stuff that you didn't, and we just had a great conversation. He's living out in Nashville. We talked about his country music career that he has going on. He's an interesting fucking guy, smart as fuck, funny. I spent so much time with Jack, and he's a huge pothead, and I didn't smoke, but we were the two guys that would go to bed early if we were in an interesting city. So if we were in Prague, or if we were in Italy, say whatever place we were in Italy, we would wake up early in the morning as soon as and we could and go look at travel around the city and find museums and castles, and we did so much crazy shit, me and Jack. Everything from the Roman Colosseum to this castle and we found in Prague that had like these. The Nazis had infiltrated, and they had all these tunnels where they had dug through underneath the castle, and they let us walk down in there, and you could see there was they left it all as they all preserved it, as like a museum of piece kind of stuff. So we kind of did that stuff, and we just had a blast. He's a good dude, and it's a good conversation. We had some good stories, and so I hope you enjoy it. Also, this week, Generation Kill's album dropped on Friday. People are digging it. I'm glad you're digging it because it's a good record. We got a video coming out soon. I'm gonna keep that a secret. It's just gonna drop, and when it drops, then I'll talk about it. But until then, we got something really cool happening that was kind of like an afterthought, but it fucking happened. So we're like, fucking cool, I got some great guests coming up in the future weeks. Doing a few interviews this week. I don't like calling them interviews. I'm gonna have a few conversations this week, and then and bring that to you guys soon. I'm gonna put out some bonus stuff. That I've been doing on the side, little things that are kind of like going to be like bonus stuff. So I just wanted to read this story. So the title of the story in the news is called "All I Wanted Was Some Steak." Watch a massive fight break out at the Golden Corral in Pennsylvania. So I'm gonna read you the article, and I'm gonna try not to sound like a fucking idiot, which I do a lot. A brawl involving dozens of people at a Golden Corral restaurant in Pennsylvania led to chairs and punches being thrown. You guys can go Google this video, by the way. More than 40 people were involved. Unfortunately, it says no one was injured in the fight, and I think that's unfortunate. And one guy said the restaurant workers intervened in attempts to break up the brawl. Why? You make like fucking $6 an hour. Who gives a fuck? Let them fucking fight. And the one guy said that he kept hearing, "All I wanted was some steak." Dude, there's a 3-minute video of the fight. One Golden Corral employee was struck by a table during the brawl. Someone picked up a fucking table. Police are investigating the cause of the fight, but one patron said it began when he received his steak before another customer. Wow. I had a rare steak, which is a lot faster to cook than a well-done steak, and I got my steak first, and he got mad. Dude, what the fuck? No arrests were made? Dude, come on. No arrests were made. People were throwing chairs and fighting, and it's all on video. Jesus fuck. Everyone should have been arrested, and then they should have been beaten for this nonsense that happens. Fucking people, man. This whole Joe Rogan shit. Joe Rogan's one of my favorites, dude. I've been following Joe since like the mid '90s when he came out of Boston and he was in New York for a bit before he went to LA. He had, there was a website called Style Project, and it was this insane website. Now I worked in the industry then. I worked in IT at Blue Cross Blue Shield, and fucking Joe was prevalent on this site. Prevalent. I gotta stop using that word because I don't know what it means. I'm a fucking idiot. Joe was all over this site, and he always had links to Joe's shit. And I became, and I think it was like '98. It was JoeRogan.net because this other douche, Joe Rogan, was a realtor or something, wouldn't give him JoeRogan.com until recently. So it was JoeRogan.net, and he had this message board, and you would go on this message board, and you would just fucking talk with people, and it was all about like it was early MMA stuff. It was a lot of porn stuff because of Style. That was his deal. But Style Project was this kid. He faked his death on the internet. He said he was going to kill himself on the internet, and he hung himself. But it was all like he faked it. But it was fucking, it looked real as shit. And it was anyway. So I've been following Joe since the late '90s. And I've seen him do comedy multiple times. I've talked to him once or twice outside the Comedy Store in the back. I had ridden my motorcycle across the country from New York to LA, and I had my bike there in the back where all the comics put their cars, because I knew at the time I knew the door guy, and he let me put my bike back there. And I was just standing there, and Joe came up and said, "Hey man, nice bike." And then we started talking. I go, "Yeah, I rode it from New York." And he was like, "What the fuck?" I mean, he would remember. That's not the point of the story. The point of the story is Joe, when he started his podcast and had started doing it, and it became this thing. But I've been listening to it since its inception, when Brian was still producing it, and he was doing it at his house. I remember he had Andy Dick on, and I think he went to a different location because he didn't want Andy Dick to know where he lived. I don't know if that's true. I made that assumption, but then from then they moved to he got like a place to go do his podcast. It was no longer doing it at his house. So then it's grown and grown and grown, and I've watched Joe make mistakes, and I've watched him correct himself, and that's the thing, man. Like, he has like these great conversations and with people, and he just tries to be smarter. Man, he's enlightened me about books and all sorts of cool shit. I mean, anyway, it just seems that it's kind of fucking lame that somebody like the whole Neil Young thing. Well, if Joe's gonna be on there, and he didn't really even. I know that Neil didn't do a deep dive on what Joe did or what Joe said. Someone said me, and he went me, and the next thing you know. But who gives a fuck? Joe's gonna win regardless. Do you know why? Because Joe is honest. That's the thing about him. He does honest interviews. He is completely transparent in all the shit that he talks about. He had people on where he was like, wait, fuck off. No, where did you get that information? And then that person would have. I saw him out. This dude, he had a show called Joe Rogan Questions Everything, and this guy, it was all about the chemtrails. And this dude had this thing, and right there in front of the guy's face, Joe went, "Dude, this is bullshit." And the guy was like, and he was like, "No, this is fucking bullshit. This is a trick, and you are doing it." And it was really cool to watch. Anyway, watching him and Duncan Trussell smoke weed and go chase Sasquatches was really worth. If you can Google that and go look at that. Anyway, it just, you know what it was? Watching people want to tear him down. Somebody who's on top, and so he's been really good to the comedy community. He's been good to the podcast world. He made it something that he gave us something new. I mean, anyway, that being said, my guest, Jack Gibson, enjoy.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, Shaggy?
How are you, man?
You got as much hair as me.
Yeah. So how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Kind of in like, on hold mode.
Yeah.
What I mean? Like, I'm just waiting for the shit to fucking settle itself out or whatever. Like, whatever we're gonna fucking do, man. You know?
Either fucking die already or let's just fucking move on, man. Right?
I know. Like, I mean,
it's brutal, man.
Like, the frustrating thing is like down here where I'm at in Nashville, like, this town's been open like almost the whole fucking time. You know what I mean?
I'm in Arizona.
Raging. I mean, it's raging here, bro. There's 500,000 people a weekend come through this fucking town to party, and we're not dead. Like like everybody could, like, we can do this.
Yeah.
Because us dumb hillbillies down here seem to be able to fucking do it easy. You know what I mean? And it's like, I got to California. Like, why the fuck do you have a tent outside with chairs outside? So outside, I'm like, what are you doing?
Dude, New York was the same way. So I'm in Arizona. This is the wild, wild west out here. Nobody gives a fuck, dude. I mean, you know what I mean? You could go to Walmart and there's people walking around with fucking M16s on their back and shit, you know what I mean? Or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm scared. I'm at the Walmart. I need my gun.
Well, there are some scary people in Walmart.
Yeah, there is, man. So, hey, man. All right. So, look, most people, I'm going to pretend that, unfortunately, I'm going to pretend like we didn't do the DVD. So, like, kind of, we went through a lot of the questions on there. but I'm going to have to go through some of that shit again for the people that haven't seen the DVD. So what I'm doing is just promoting hey, go watch the fucking DVD, and all the questions that you have are probably fucking answered on there, man. So, but this one was going to be a little more personal, and I'm just going to start. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Sacramento, California.
Okay. And you grew up on a farm, right?
Kind of I was in Sac, proper, but on the summers I would go up and work on the family's ranch, which was about an hour back. So most summers I was out there working and riding my mini bike and shooting things and stuff like that. So
right. Are you a hunter? Were you a hunter then, or did you hunt and then, or just kind of like shooting cans of shit like me? Yeah, that's what I did.
I like shooting, but I wasn't much for killing. I mean, if things went real sideways, I'd fucking shoot the shit out of a
Yeah, I'd be okay. I just I felt
I mean, I've almost shot last year. My garden out back, the deer ate so much of that fucking garden. I was ready to fucking go. Like I literally was looking at him going, "Oh, you are kind of cute," you know what I
mean? Dude, we got javelina here and coyotes, dude. Like every night when I sit outside, coyotes start yelping. I live in the foothills, and then the javelina just walk everywhere, dude. They don't give a fuck. They eat everything too.
Yeah, we got some coyotes here. I've heard them too. When it snowed, the last time I went for the walk out there's a lot of wide open area around here where I'm at, and you could see the whole coyote pack track.
No shit. Wow.
And through the snow, it was it was cool.
Huh. Cool. So you didn't want to be a farmer, right? You just wanted to.
Oh man, that's hard work, man.
It's brutal.
They make good money. I mean, they make good money, but it's because like that's the hardest shit, dude. Like,
yeah, dude.
Like alls I did when I would farm is like, spend 13 hours out there just thinking about how to get the fuck out of doing this. You know what I mean? Like I was like, am I gonna be an accountant? No, my God. Like I just whatever I could think of to get out of that, that shit.
Yeah.
It's fucking hard work, man.
So when did you what was the first record you bought with your own money? Like, did you have older siblings that handed down?
No, I did not actually. I basically started. I had a couple older cousins, but they didn't give me their shit. They liked their shit. So like my two older cousins were Jana and Peggy, and like Jana was, her license plate was Led Zepp 6 on her Cameo, right? And like she was Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, all the rock back then. So I'd go into her room and she had the poster of Robert Plant with the bird, like all that shit all over. I was just wow, like I'd be like, what's that and what's that, and then Peggy was a cheerleader, and she was into like disco and soul, what I mean? She'd always be listening to Earth, Wind and Fire or the Bee Gees or something like that. And so it was kind of like a perfect blend of these great, music in the 70s. Like I got to know all of them from both of them, kind of,
And what was the first record you bought with your own money?
Well, the first record I ever bought was a K-Tel record that was on TV, and I took the garbage 2 months or whatever if my parents would buy it, and it had Convoy on it. Like that was the big song on it, and I loved that song because the way he talked, and I just thought it was so funny, and it was such a weird song back then.
What's Convoy? I don't even know what that is.
It's the old trucker song. The guy's talking about all the trucks and the cops, and it was total like 10-4 good buddy like talk.
Oh, it was all like one of those hokey songs. It was kind of like yeah. All right. Yeah. Gary Holt Gary Holt had the Partridge Family, and I was like, what? Yeah, that was your first record. So like, yeah.
Right. So which I mean, it's funny because the guy who made Convoy, C.W. McCall, he's still one of my favorite artists. Like I haven't, like he's fucking killer. You know what I mean? Like he's an American treasure. You know, like that was his. You know, that was his commercial song, and like, but his other shit is like really good. It's really
is
good.
it
Anyway,
right.
I got that, and you know, it had like you know how them K-Tel records were. It was like the top 40 record thing. Like, so it had like you know, Fly Robin Fly on it, and Up and Away in My Beautiful Balloon, and like it was just some dumb fucking record. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the first serious record that I went and bought was Exit Stage Left.
Ooh, that was one of our favorites.
And it's because I liked Tom Sawyer. And then when I went to the record store, I was too young and I was too stupid to know what a live record was.
Yeah.
So there was 2 tapes that had Tom Sawyer on it, and one of them had more songs.
Yeah, I get
like,
it.
Like Fly By Night, and I'm like, oh, I know that one too. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like, so I bought Exit Stage Left and took it home and realized it was the live, you know, version, which it didn't really matter. You know, I mean, I went back and bought pictures and all of them again, you know.
After.
Like subsequently. But
I know that I know this about you, that Red Bar Cheddar is your favorite Rush song. And,
on that album.
It was on that album, Mine was Brunsbane into Xanadu into Jacob's Ladder into La Villa Strangiato. Like I bought it for Tom Sawyer, but I ended up liking the other stuff like so much more.
Of course. Toward the end, and like Xanadu and all that whole stretch. You know, it's such a good record, man.
Yeah. So you were a Rush nerd. So were you sad? Were you sad when Neil died? That was a year ago the other day.
Yeah.
It was a bummer, man. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I was bummed when they quit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I saw the last show, and like you could see Neil was in pain.
Yeah.
Like I could see him like playing with his shoulders tight, you know, like how you do something when you're in pain.
Yeah.
Tighten your body up and just do it anyway. Like I could see that he wasn't. I mean, I'd seen him 14 times.
I mean,
So I mean, like I saw him at the end, and I was like, oh, I can see why he wasn't, like it was a lot of effort for him to play. I think.
He did say that his main reason was quitting was he didn't want to. I respected that he wanted to quit while he could still play it, and he never wanted to go out and not be able to pull it off and play and keep.
And pushing. I could see he was almost at that.
Point.
You know what I mean? He would do the big stuff, and I could see him like get through it. Like fuck, that's why, you know. So it's a bummer, man. You know, but actually, I met Getty for just a second here in Nashville. He did a book signing for that, the Book of the Bass thing that he did.
Yeah.
And, so it just so happened that here in Nashville, 2 guys live here who produced Rush albums.
Wow.
So at this one, they did like a Q&A thing. Like it was him, those 2 producers. It was the producer that got him on the wall bass. So he had that wall bass was there with him. And then they just talked about the records they did, and then he just did kind of a Q&A, and it was killer, man. He was totally funny, and he was totally awesome. I met him for 1.5 seconds in a line, like, hey, great, thanks, man, you're great. And he's like, yeah, next, you know what I mean? But but
you should have said Toronto Blue Jays, and he would have got his attention. You know what I mean? What? Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure everybody tried to get his attention. I go to the back of the line because I'm a loser. I probably went out to smoke before, you know what I mean? And so when I got there, he was like,
How old were you when you got your first bass? Was that your first instrument? Did you play like me? Did you play like the trumpet in school and all? Did you do that stuff before?
I played guitar actually for a little while. I had played like acoustic guitar, and I thought it was so killer. So my mom got me lessons with the person he did, but I didn't take to it because it was like, it wasn't the music I wanted to learn.
Right.
It was a bunch of songs the teacher was giving, you know how they give music lessons. It was like a, you know, and it really wasn't until I was in high school, like I knew how to play and make, you know, like through the lessons I could play, you know what I mean? I could pick chord out and I could like finger notes and make it make sound, you know what I mean? And so then in high school, you know, a bunch of my friends played guitar, like metal guitar and rock guitar and shit, and but nobody played bass. And so one of my friends was like, why don't you just play bass, you know, get Malcolm to give you a couple lessons. Malcolm was like the kid that was a couple years older than us,
right,
had long hair, and he could like fucking, you know, like play the fucking bass, you know what I mean?
Did you immediately go with fingers, or did you try to pick first?
No, I went with fingers because
nice.
I was right at the Billy Sheehan time.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, you know,
elephant gun, baby. Yeah.
Like, I can still do all that shit. I just don't, because, you know, as soon as you put your finger here, you're Billy Sheehan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I can still do all that stuff. In fact, I think like a lot of the that tapping shit that I did made my right hand strong the way that it is.
Huh.
Like it made me be able to do fast stuff down here that most bass players don't push themselves into that zone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like doing the little tippy tap things, it made my fingers more precise and ready to diddle stuff, you know.
So I know that you were a fucking total nerd, but you were reading a lot of books. You were Star Wars and Tolkien, and I know that you and I bonded real quick in our friendship over that kind of stuff because we both were fucking nerds, right? What kind of kid were you? Were you a quiet kid that sat in the corner and read? Were you a troublemaker? Was your family life good, or was it struggle? Yeah.
No, man.
I know you came from a good family. I was just asking.
Yeah, no, I mean my parents are great. I was kind of a contradiction in that way. Like I was kind of a quiet kid in that like I could always just chill with myself. You know, like if I had 2 action figures, like I'm gone. You know what I mean? I could write a story and I'd be out there behind the bed for fucking a day and a half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that, but one of my older friends told me that, and I kind of didn't know this till he kind of brought it up, and I had to think about it. But I guess like he told me I was the kid that would say anything to an adult. Like I was that kid, you know, like why are you so fat? You know what I mean? like I was like very like bad at like at adults, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I do.
I didn't give a shit, and like I thought it was funny, and like, you know, they would bait me into like, yeah, go say this, you know, and I'd be like, okay, and I'd go fucking, you know, and I'd go say it. So I was kind of a little, you know, brat at the same time, you know.
Well, so your parents were totally down with you. They were behind you 100% on the music. Did you know that you wanted to do the music thing, or they wanted you to go be an accountant?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think my mom still wants to get a real job, you know. No, I mean, no, not really. I mean, I basically did the music stuff on my own. Not really. I mean, my parents have always been supportive, but like
reluctantly,
like nobody bought any of that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nobody, like they didn't buy me my first bass, they didn't buy me my amps, they didn't, you know,
right.
Like that shit was mine to do, you know what I mean? And so I did it. You
know? So after high school, did you go down to LA to the music school like right away?
I kind of fucked around for a year or so until my dad was like,
what are you gonna do?
Get a job. You know what I mean? And I'm like, fuck, I don't want to do either of those. So I ran away to LA to with my guitar, and one of my buddies was already in GIT, so I just went and kind of moved in with him, and went to school and
started a band.
Yeah, I started a band down there. It was kind of a thrash band. I kind of joined a band.
What was the name?
Circle of Vengeance.
Circle of Vengeance.
Yeah, and they had moved out from the East Coast, and then the drummer was at the school, Mike Bennett. So I kind of joined up with them guys, and we fucking blew it for the next 5 years or so. we came up north. Never even could really get a singer. Like, it was kind of right at the end of, like, we moved up to the Bay right at the worst time for a thrash band, like
when Nirvana was ruling.
Yeah, just the whole it already played itself out, kind of. I mean, not really, because like all those people, all the people in the Bay are a pretty strong group of people, you know what I mean? Even though they fight like hell with each other and stuff like that, if you poke one of them, they're like, oh, San Francisco, you know what I mean? So, they're all pretty tight, but they're just like, there was only Violence was the only thrash band, and just nobody gave a fuck about a new thrash band. They'd all come and all go, and you know what I mean? So it was just a really bad time for that. Like, everybody wanted to, all the singers wanted to do something different, stuff, and they
want to sing, and we're going to sing out of key, and Deftones was Tell me the story about John Entwistle, man, when he came to your school and gave a lesson.
Yeah, he was a fucking asshole. So I worked at MI in the cafeteria. It was right off the main room. They don't have it there anymore, but it used to be, it was just like a little food short order. You could get sandwiches or hot bagels, just shit like that. And so then when the guys would come in to do the seminars, like, we would cater it, and so he was there, and my boss was like, yeah, go out, figure out what he wants. And so he went out, and he's standing there, and I go up to him, and I'm like, me, I guess it's built into me. I just walk right up to John Entwistle and start talking to him. And I'm like, yeah, I work at the kitchen over here. I got, sandwiches, candy, whatever. I rattled off everything, Cokes, and, I can make you something if you want, and he goes, oh, you'll have to talk to him. The guy was standing right next to him, who was like, he was like a mini me, or he was like a bargain version of John. Like John had a nicer leather vest, but the guy had a leather vest, and then, like he had the same haircut, but less gray. Like, I was like, is this your son? Like, he was like, nah, this little copycat, but anyway, he was his bitch. You know what I mean?
Wouldn't even talk to you.
John, looked right at me, looking in the eyes, and goes, yeah, you'll have to talk to him.
Yeah, talk to him, fuckface. Yeah.
So I never broke eye contact with John, and I said the same sentence again. Then the dude repeated it to John, and John told him, but all the while having full eye contact with me. The guy was amazing. Amazing. I loved it, And then, it went like this weird triangle thing. Kind of looked at him like, all right, you sure you want me to spit in your coffee? That's what I did.
Yeah.
John Entwistle drank my spit.
Yeah, man, you look at it and dip my balls in your fucking tea, you fucking douche. Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know why people would think that fucking with somebody who's getting your food is a good thing.
No, it's
you know what I mean? No.
But he was awesome. Like, he was awesome, though.
He was an awesome bass player, dude. He was insane.
He was like an awesome asshole. Like, that was awesome. Like, what else do you want from John Entwistle? Like,
I guess that would be a goal in life. I'm going to be the best
legendary asshole, and he was an asshole to me.
Who is the so I know it, so I'm gonna jump around a little bit, but what books were you reading? I don't want to nerd out too much because but what books were you reading as a kid? I know that I could quiz you on pretty much anything Tolkien and Star Wars and you'd have the answer. So was that were you also reading other books like King and Clancy and any of those? Were you doing that stuff too, or was it just sci-fi usually?
A little bit. I mean, usually what I wanted to read was either, sci-fi or fantasy or history. I could read even still. I can read history, like the driest history books. If it's about something I like, I can pull myself through it.
Dude,
like
I'm reading it.
Do that with I kind of have a thing now with fiction of any kind.
Yeah.
I'm not into it, man. I throw that book away. I do not drag myself through a book I don't want to finish. Like I used to do that. Like, what the fuck? And like now, like if you don't have me by the second or third chapter, like I'm out, man.
I'm out. I'm reading the Templars right now. It's a true story about the Knights Templars. It's a hard read, dude. It's very small. It's a lot of pay, but there's so many characters and there's so many different factions. It's a hard book to get through, but I'm totally down. I just finished the book about the Comanches, Empire of the Summer Moon.
Oh, I have that.
Dude.
About the one about Quanah Parker.
Dude, holy shit. Yeah, she's a badass, dude. Yeah. She's a badass. She fucking, I mean, she was the shit, dude. They saved her, brought her back, and she was like, fuck you, and left and went back. And then had the son who ended up running the whole shit, dude. I mean, it's a badass book, dude. It's a really good book. Anyway, I know that, so I'm gonna talk about a little bit about when I first joined the band. I don't know. So before I was even the band, when I was teching, right? You and I hit it off like right from the start. Star Wars, Tolkien. We liked a lot of the same music. You had just started playing banjo. You were probably a couple months in when I met you on the Tempo tour. So you and I, we fucking went, we were in Vancouver and you rented fucking kayaks and went out into the fucking ocean. Yeah. We were like right on the ocean. We started in the bay and we were wearing jeans and t-shirts in water that was probably 40 fucking degrees and just went out there. We'd have been dead. Yeah. But remember the seal coming up next to my boat? Like just fucking, Jack's out there. We're in the middle of Vancouver, like in the bay. Jack's smoking a joint, and we're just, dude. We had, man, me and you never. You
remember, like we got the boat and we came around the corner, and I'm like, okay, I gotta light my joint. And I'm sitting there in the wind, and I'm trying to light the joint, and I light it, and then I get it, and I take a couple puffs, and I lean back and look up, and it's a whole restaurant.
A restaurant of people eating outside,
and like 50 people were like looking down. Like trying to light this joint.
Oh man. But on that tour, me and you bonded. We, what's funny too is I didn't smoke weed, I didn't drink, but you and I always went out fucking searching shit. We always would sit in the back lounge, and I was gonna have you tell the story because I mean I tell it. I've told it a few times, and it's I did stand-up comedy and told this on stage. Can you tell the story of the night? Me and you are sitting in the back. Now I smoked cigarettes at the time, so I had the window open and I'm smoking a cigarette. You're smoking a joint with the other window open, and Rick walked in with a bag of shit, and you take it from there, buddy.
So yeah, we were sitting in the back and I was eating a piece of pizza on a paper plate and I had it sitting next to me. And then Rick came in with his, so backstory, you can't take a shit on a tour bus. And if you have to, you gotta bag it and tag it, was what we call it, where you literally have to do it into a bag and you wrap it up and fucking throw it out the bus, right? So I'm sitting there, Rick comes in, he's got a hot one, and he lays it down on my fucking piece of pizza. Like, he sets it down on my food and then opens the window and throws the fucking bag out. And I'm like, Rick, you just put your shit bag on my food. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that was your food. I'm like, who cares whose food it was? You know? And I mean, and what are you doing setting it down in the first place? Like, you don't set it down.
It's in a bag.
Yeah, he's like, it's in a bag. I'm like, oh, good. The bag that was in the toilet. Right? Like, what the hell, man? Rick was fucking crazy back in those days, man. Like, he didn't even think he did anything wrong.
I know. So to finish the story is the next morning, you were in the band. I was the tech. So I had to get up early, right? So I get up first, and me and Bill go out, and hanging off the side of the trailer is the bag, and it had opened, and there was just shit running down the side of the fucking trailer, frozen.
Frozen.
Fuck, man. Dude. And then so then we
actually I wrote a country line about it's gonna go in one of my songs, and I never put it in. It was something like, remember the time Rick bagged it and tagged it and threw it out the window and the trailer dragged it?
The bus driver had to clean it up he had to go to a bus wash to clean the shit off the trailer.
Wash poop down the fucking drain.
So how did you end up in Exodus?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. I had a friend, Tom and Gary had a band that they were putting together called War Dance, and my friend Sean Smithson was trying out singing for him. Sean's a real talented guy. He's kind of one of those guys that bounced around, between bands and never quite landed in the exact right spot, but he was super talented guy. Could play, could sing, could write. Like, he was really good. And and he needed a ride out to the tryout. And so I took him out because I'd never met Tom or Gary, and he said they were really cool. So I went out there, and they were really nice to me, and he tried out, and they kind of liked him, so they had him come back. And so I came back. I gave him another ride like later in the week, and their bass player, I was like, where's your bass player? And they're like, oh man, he's in like 5 or 6 bands, and he barely shows up. It was actually Mike Butler, he had done the last Exodus record.
Right.
Also really great musician, great player. He plays all the time out in the Bay still. And he actually he's a big podcast guy. Like, he's been doing a podcast, for a very long time. And so they were Tom, and they just kind of, lightly bashed him for a few minutes, like, oh, he never, like, he's in this band and that band, and I'm like, man, I'll come every day, And Gary was like, oh, fuck it, all right, here's the tape. Come back on Thursday with Sean, and so I went home and learned the songs. I came back and played them, and I got the gig, and Sean did. And then we played around in that band for a year or two, a year at least, and then when Gary was shopping the demo that we had done, all the feedback was just get Bailoff and Rick back in, and let's do a live
okay
We just got better offers for that than we did with the
War Dance.
War Dance was kind of like Pantera-ish, a little bit slower, groovy, whatever, you know what I mean? Like just no do deck, it was kind of Pantera-ish, you know what I mean? In that time, Machine Head had just blown up, and like that slower, riffy shit was, really big. So that's what Gary was trying to do. But anyway, they just offered us to just be Exodus again, and Robbie didn't want to do it, so I was already tight with Tom and Gary, and so I just got brought along for the ride.
So when you guys did it,
right, let me tell
I'm sure, man. So let's talk about that. So you joined the band. Now you're going to do another lesson of violence. Andy Steep comes in. Now Andy Steep at the time isn't really a name yet. He's really just kind of starting out himself. Had been doing stuff, but that kind of put him on the map. So what was it like to be a part of that? I know that, explain the way that went, the live show. Did you record both nights and then take the best of?
No, it was
just one night. Okay.
Yeah, that's literally one show, from the front to back. We patched up guitars and bass, because for a couple reasons. Like one, we had a mobile studio there. That was when they would roll the buses in,
Yeah.
It was just before we really started doing stuff on computers.
Right.
We were doing a little bit of editing on computers, but everything was going down to 2-inch tape still at that time. It was like one of those buses came and ran the line in, and then we and Andy wasn't there for that. So like Andy wasn't running the recording.
Yeah, he just mixed it. Right.
He came in and we did the patch ups and the mixing for it. And so the guitars just weren't good enough.
Right.
And then you couldn't punch in anything, because then you couldn't match the tone, from something live like that. So we ended up doing the guitars and bass on that. And went good. I mean, and then we've worked with Andy, ever since then. The last one we couldn't, because he couldn't come over.
Yeah.
But he mixed it. So
yeah. So now you're doing Exodus, and you're part of it, and then they start working on Tempo. But before that, before Paul passed away, you guys were chugging along with Paul. And did you hang out with Paul a lot outside the band? Did you? Yeah.
I'm one of the few people that used to extort Paul Bailoff. He used to extort everyone else. And I knew his game, and I could always call him out. Whenever I'd catch him doing something, I'd just put my hand out, and he'd have to fucking pay me. Because like the one time we were on the fucking plane, and he taps me on the head, and I turn around. He's all, dude, this wallet was in the fucking, was in the thing. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? Open it up and see how much it is, He opened it up, and I mean, it was like full of $100 bills, dude. It was like fantasy day shit, you know what I mean? He opened it up, and it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And he looks at me, and I'm going,
half.
And he goes, I go, you better give me some money, or I'm going to tell the other guys. And he just peeled 2 of them off and gave it.
Classic Bailoff. Oh, that's fucking A. Yeah. So, and then, you're doing Tempo, and you guys go out. You're ready to go out on tour. How long did you rehearse for Tempo? I mean, we could talk about, before we do that, we could talk about Paul forever. And I know that his death was tragic. And I know that, and at the time, I remember from our previous conversations, I know that when Paul was alive, nobody really gave a fuck. It was, they did, but wasn't, his legend really began, unfortunately, after he passed away. But the shows before that, he was fun as shit to hang out with and play live, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, if you were in his circle, it was great. If you were just outside of that circle, you were gonna get fucking tormented, So
Yeah.
I was lucky to be on the inside. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. I mean, I knew him before because he was kind of a fixture around the Bay Area,
Right.
And, I mean, after he was in Exodus, he had pretty bad reputation in the area because he would just, like he'd go live at people's houses, and then when he owed them, fucking $5,000 worth of fucking back rent, he'd just leave, and
yeah,
like the classic story is when we called him to come, sing. He was living down in Monterey, California, in a trailer, and before he left, he sold the trailer to two different people and fucking split.
He was making money doing sandcastles on the beach. Fucking yeah.
Two guy shows up to get his trailer. Some guy's already got it hooked up to his car. Says, no, they both have a bill of sale.
Fucking Paul. Yeah. So, and then tragically Paul passes away, and then you guys, how long before? I mean, it's a shit question, but like, did you guys like take a breather and take some time?
Actually, we couldn't because we had these two gigs booked like the next weekend.
Yeah.
In LA, and so they called Zet and go, hey, you want to do these shows? And actually, like, it was funny because the two shows, it was 2 nights in Anaheim at this old place that's not there anymore. It's just right across the freeway there from like Disneyland, like right on the other side of the freeway.
Yeah.
And that was at Disneyland with his family that weekend.
No shit.
And he was like, yeah, I'll come over and sing at night. So he just kind of, at night, he came over and we did a set. Like, I think I had to cram, some of the songs that I hadn't played before, but, and then right. he did those 2 shows, and then we just kind of kept it in and moved on to do tempo.
Yeah. I know, you picked up did you pick up the banjo at that point, or was that after the recording tempo? Because I met you guys. I met you guys right after tempo. Tempo had just come out when I met you.
Yeah, no, it was after, because I started playing. It was one of the tempo tours, and we watched "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou." That was like the tour movie. Where you watch twice a night. You know what I mean? And everybody's quoting it the whole tour and all that shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was during the middle part where they're the montage scene where they're on the run and they like steal the pie out of the window and they hide from the cops and all that. And there's a little banjo picking during that part. And I was like, man, I'm gonna get a fucking banjo, And they're like, yeah, whatever. And then and then I came home and I just kind of started asking around, anybody got a banjo? And then this buddy of mine had one, and he brought it over, and I kind of wrenched on it until it worked right, and then fell in love with the instrument. And I still have that one. I wouldn't give it back to him.
Nice. Because
I liked it so much. And then, like, he came over and I was like, yeah, Paul, I'm not going to give that banjo back to you. He was like, oh, man, I like that thing. And I handed him a quarter of really, really good weed. And he goes, okay,
So
but I mean, he knew that I was like
passionate as fuck.
I'd fallen in love with it, and
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you can't. Like, I'm not just gonna give it to you so you can stick it in your fucking closet, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm playing here. I officially have bought it from you. You know. Good day, sir.
When so Zet quits, Escobar fills in on Mega Tour. I meet you guys, and then I was living in LA, and I came up and auditioned, and
I was just thinking about that car the other day. The car that had no headlights. Remember?
My '69. I had a '69 Deuce and a Quarter, a Buick Electra 225, and
because I saw a thing where I saw some movie. It wasn't that car, but they had done that.
Yeah,
they took the headlights out.
Yeah.
And the grill all the way across the front.
Yeah, so I took the headlights out. I made a black grill custom, and then I put the headlights underneath. And I used to get pulled over all the time because they're like, "Dude, you got no fucking headlights." I'm like, "They're there. They're on the bottom." Like, yeah, it was fucking So, so I didn't know anyone in in San Francisco, and you were nice enough, and your roommates, your gambling roommates, and Tilo. Allowed me to stay on the couch while we made the record. And then as we're making the record, we're rehearsing, we do the demo that Tilo did. And then Tom quits, and then Rick disappears. And I
forgot Tilo did a demo of that stuff.
Yeah, it was a 4-song demo, man. I Am Abomination and a couple others, and that's what we sent to the label, and they were like, "Yeah, it sounds good. Let's do that."
And I wonder where that is.
Yeah, I bet you Tilo has it. That motherfucker.
Because we were looking for stuff to put on, like to throw into
a box set,
that type of thing. Just all. We were looking for old concerts and stuff, and
I bet you Tilo has a copy of that somewhere.
I bet you Gary does somewhere, but I bet you Tilo has
his masters. He probably has the actual masters,
the session, maybe even.
Yeah.
He's German. Them Germans do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Tilo's not your typical German though, man. He might have been. I needed it for space for a fucking movie, so I deleted it. Yeah. Fucking love Tilo. I used to torture him.
He might have deleted it when we stopped working with him.
So I joined the band. I never asked you this point blank, but how did you feel about it after like the first day? I know the first day I wasn't great, but the second day I was a little better at auditions. But how did you feel about it? Not only as a singer wise, but as a person, like what were you thinking at the time?
Well, I mean, person wise, we already knew, because I mean, that's kind of one of those things, like we'd already lived on the bus with you.
Yeah.
And that's like really more important almost than
being able to sing.
Than if you can play. I mean, it's not, but I mean, it's
huge,
as important, I mean, you can be a great player, and if you're not going to fit in with the group, it's like, no, you know what I mean? I don't want that fucking guy around me all the time. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's just as important. I mean, it's just like, when Gary went to go do the stuff with Slayer, we didn't try anybody out. We just got Cragen.
Yeah.
Because
you knew him.
He'd been on the bus with us a bunch of times. We knew we could live with him. We knew we loved him.
Yeah.
We knew he was good enough to play like that. We didn't even need to like ask that part. You know what I mean? So it's, like, that's a huge part of it, is the being able to get along,
Yeah. And what did you think about the record as it was unfolding? I know we had to get both staff up to speed. Rick was gone. Lee came in afterward. Like, do you remember like what you were feeling when you started hearing it, going, "Oh, yeah, this is gonna work"?
Yeah, man. I think I was. I mean, that was a pretty tumultuous, time to be making making a record, and I can't imagine that I wasn't overloaded emotionally and everything. I was the only one left.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like me and Gary basically made that record. I mean, Gary, like all of a sudden I had all of it was my second record. Well, I mean, it was my third, but it was really just my second studio, thing with him. And like, it was basically me and Gary, you know what I mean? At that. And, so like, because what had happened is, Zet quit, and then Tom quit.
Yeah.
And then because of that, Rick was like, we should wait and, wait and try to do this. And it was like, dude, we've already pulled the fucking money and started spending it. Like, we can't, not make a record right now. We already took the fucking money. You know what I mean? Like, we'd already taken the advance. We'd already bought shit. Like, it was too late, We had to fucking record, man. And so, we called Paul in, and he came in, and he was great. I mean, he laid
it down.
He got up to speed really fast, and and I mean, I think we made a great record. Like, it's kind of an oddball record of Exodus's, I think, just because of like what I said, like how it really came together. Like, it was all of a sudden a new band, you know what I mean? And it almost like it came about, in the studio, you know what I mean?
It really did. I mean, so, I blew my voice out the first day, and then had to muscle through it, and kind of like, I have video.
You were just feeling how to even, do it, like the way we want. I remember like you were pronouncing words in punk and not metal. like we had to like go, no, it's not infection, it's infection. Like, we had to like get you to say words in metal, and I mean, it was a little bit of struggle. I mean, it was the first thing you'd ever really,
It's the first thing I ever did, right? And then
all of a sudden you got Gary Holt and Andy Sneap yelling at you on the headphones, and I know how it is, man.
Yeah, man. And then I got to go play a Mercado. That was the first show in Bakersfield. The fucking all the build up. Oh, you're the singer of Exodus. You're gonna be a fucking legend, dude. Blah, blah, blah. And then 6-inch stage in Bakersfield.
Too impressed with
Yeah. So we do the whole U.S. tour, and then
it was in an old Montgomery Wards, and they had they'd even used like it was something World, and they still had the W from Ward,
right?
Like they couldn't even afford a new sign.
It had the pull down metal thing for like the lunch counter. When like Montgomery Ward had the lunch counter thing, you get like a cheeseburger and fries, and they still had the thing, and the full on families and little kids running around. And
it was usually where the chorizo cart was, or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it was fucking great. And then and then it just got better. I was gonna kind of jump forward to we're in Europe, right? And I this was my first 4L trip into Europe on a band level, and the first thing that I did was every morning me and you would get up early, and we would go search the city. And me and you went to castles and art galleries. We went to all the little towns. You and I never got drunk and didn't wake up in the morning early and go see shit. I mean, once in a while, but like but for the most part, man, I mean, dude, you smoke pot in the Vatican. Yeah. That's like And I was like,
and on the Acropolis.
Yeah. But so we went to, remember we were in that, I forget where we were. We were at some castle. It might have been Czech Republic. And we go down into the tunnels and they had all the phone system with the little Nazi symbols on them. And like an old, it was an old World War II bunker. And oh, dude, man, like we used to just.
That was in Brno. In Czech.
Bruno, and we found that statue of you. There was a statue of you there. Yeah.
Like the Lord of the Castle looked just like me.
It did.
Yeah, it's hella funny.
Yeah, the mustache and the little fucking thing and the long hair. Yeah.
I
still have that picture somewhere.
No, it does. Yeah, I guess it kind of does look just like it.
But yeah, man. So I mean, dude, I have to say, Jack, I mean, you were, you know, you let me stay at your house and you were always welcoming and you were always awesome to me, man. And you kind of got it. You kind of, no, you never told me what to do, but you let me fill it out and figure it out for myself. And I just, for myself, I just want to say I appreciate that about our career together. Cause it was fun as shit. And, you know, and those things really matter to me. And, you know, I think through the years we cultivated that. It got even better and better. I think the records got better. I think the music got better. Our live shows got better. And
still my favorite one that I've ever done is Exhibit A.
Yeah.
That's still my favorite. That's still my favorite thing that I've done with the band. Dark and just heavy and long songs. Like it's an epic work of
Mine's Exhibit B, because Exhibit B had, you know, it had a different feel to it, but it also had they were both mean and dark. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's kind of.
Exhibit B was a little more like shorter songs, like songy songs. You know, like Exhibit A was like, it's almost like a black metal. There's like black metal in it, and because Gary was into black metal at that time.
Yeah.
Burzum and all that shit. And
if you listen to Atrocity Expedition, the song, it's fucking insane. You know. Yeah. So yeah. So what was the worst show you played with Exodus? What was the worst show?
Man, there's a lot of them.
I know there's a lot of them, but I know there's one or two that stand out. And it didn't even have to be with me. Like it could have been at any time. Like
we did there was a real famous one at the Ranch Bowl in Omaha. I think the Ranch Bowl was in Omaha, right? I'm so burnt out. But
so Gary threw his guitar into the piano.
No, that was a great one. No, there was like four paid at this one, and it was pretty bad. And then we had another one in Colorado like that.
Fort Collins, 12 paid.
Yeah.
Then I Goss ate
it was like 3 times as much as the Ranch Bowl. So
yeah, it was huge. It held 1,000 and we're like 14 paid. And John Goss ate the extract, habanero extract at the bar and got sick.
Yeah,
puked everywhere. Yeah,
that's the only time I've ever seen Lee really,
tear up. Yeah,
get fucked up from hot shit. Yeah,
yeah, that show was brutal.
John Goss is the same way. He can eat.
Yeah,
they both eat those habaneros like they're fucking strawberries.
I know, man.
Yeah, with those men.
Yeah, it's taken me years to get to that level. But
sometimes I wonder if Lee's one of the lizards.
He might be, dude. I mean, he's definitely. I mean, he eats like a fucking fat guy, but he doesn't gain a pound.
Actually, he's been getting a little fat lately. The dad life is. He's kind of changed Lee a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
like actually, here's something on the last like on one of the last tours, the last couple, like he was having heartburn problems. He couldn't eat. Like,
you know, I'm doing a podcast with him next, man. So I'm bringing it up.
It wasn't like the vodka was giving him heartburn, and food was giving him heartburn. I'm all, I know, man. That's how it is.
Jack was known as puppy gut because he couldn't eat shit.
I'm still that way, man. God,
yeah. So how's so I love the new record, man. I loved Lunatic Liar Lord is my favorite. That's a good fucking song. It has like it's got like separate parts to it. That's kind of why I liked it. It had like it was that's my favorite song on your new shit.
That's one of my top two. I like that one, and I like Clickbait too.
Yeah.
Just this short, just
a
thrasher. You know what I mean? Old time, just thrasher.
Yeah.
And then Lunatic Liar is more like a long, kind of a
like
more
Son is My Destroyer type shit.
Yeah. What I like about Lunatic is it's got all 4 guitar. Solo.
Yeah. That is fucking rad. Yeah.
It's Rick and Gary first, and then Craig and Lee on the second. So it's kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like, and actually, like, I, not to bash my boys or anything, but Rick and Cragen's solos on that are my 2 favorite solos on the record. It might just be because I'm used to Gary and Lee's, more, but like I really like both of those ones. They're like my 2 favorite solos on the whole record, I think.
Yeah, mine too. What was your favorite show? Do you have any shows that stick out in your mind that are like, dude, I can't believe I'm standing here right now? Like I have a bunch of those, but do you?
The Maiden in
Maiden.
I mean, like that was about as big as it gets,
yeah, that was a fun fucking day. It was Tom's birthday. The whole week was fucking awesome, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Did you do Rock El Parque with us?
No, I just did the Chile.
And that one was okay. It was kind of like a free concert in Colombia.
Oh no, yeah, I did that. Yeah, the free concert in Colombia. Yeah. That was with a Creator.
Yeah, it was like 100,000 people or something.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So just everybody goes down.
Everybody showed up. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. We had some pretty good festival shows. I mean, that day at Vakken was a pretty special day,
Yeah.
On tour with
3 Inches.
Which was a fun tour. I remember like probably the hardest I ever raged was with Shane at that Zygon festival.
Yeah.
Like we got so fucking wasted and went out into that thing. Remember he had like straw in his hair for like 3 days. He just kept falling down. They put the straw out all over at the festivals, and he had like straw and like mud on his elbows and shit for like 3 fucking days after that.
Oh yeah, that was a fun tour, man. That was one of my favorite tours. His birthday show was fucking insane.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And the kid Ash got up and played drums on Piranha, and he played Piranha, and that was a good fucking show. I think I remember that I remember when we would be on tour, you and I would hang out in the back lounge. I got into a habit of like sleeping while everyone was partying and then waking up. And then you would get up early with me, and we'd always do stuff. Like we would, the taxi ride in Thailand was one of those fucking things that, like, I think about that from time to time, and I just start laughing because we were having, we went to the bazaar. You and I went to the bazaar, and we ate that food from that meat. Zimmer, and then we saw it on a show later. Zimmerman went to the same place and ate that. I was like, we don't know what that is, but yeah, we're like, we probably ate that. We saw the cockfighting, and we saw all the illegal animals. We went through the back, dude, and we fucking, oh man, and and then there was times when we're in Japan and we were at that fucking badass restaurant. We got the stinky roll, and it ruined the whole restaurant when we got that fucking. Yeah, man, dude, I had some of the best times of my life with you, man. I really did. It was
Yeah,
It was
man.
amazing. And so
Well, that was a good time too, because like I don't have fun like that anymore.
why
Because
not?
well, I don't drink anymore. I quit
I
drinking back
know. I
about
never
8 years
drank.
ago. And then like I just don't do much, like I don't get into trouble anymore. You know what I mean? Like
Oh.
I'm never in that frame of mind like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it anyway. I don't do that anymore. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that shit. So like alcohol really contributes to the delinquency of an individual,
I remember you drinking on your birthday. You were drinking martinis at that bar, and you came back, and the homeless guy was fucking with our bus. And Paul's friend, I think his name was Dave. He was our drum tech. He got arrested for
Oh yeah.
punching. The guy came at him on a broken bottle, but the cop came around the corner and only saw Dave punch him in the face. We're like, you didn't see the bottle? We're all standing like we were all trying to defend Dave, and he was a little teeny dude. Yeah. He's fucking little short fucking Napoleon complex. Yeah. And arrested Dave, and we are like, fuck,
didn't
man,
he
fucking
or something.
Yeah, he makes me. He makes Dave because Dave was arguing with him. And like a little fucking.
You know what the funny part of that was? Do you remember the whole night? Bo staff wouldn't believe us that he got arrested.
Oh, yeah, totally. We tried. Yeah, dude, Paul, David. Oh, you guys are fucked up, and went back to bed.
Yeah. He thought we were hiding in the trailer from him. We're like,
I had to.
Your friend is in jail right now, and he would like he was like bent on that we were fucking with him.
You got cut off at the bar after like fifth martini, and I had to. I was
so pissed.
I know you're. I had to walk. I was like, Jack, we're gonna go to jail. Come on, man. Come on, buddy. And I had to fucking walk. Do you remember when Gary? I got in a fight at that casino. I punched that dude in the face because he got in Gary's face, and when I was still a tech, I wasn't even in the band yet. We were at a casino. We'd opened for Megadeth at that casino, and Gary got an argument with some dude at the bar, and I figured it was my job to like protect Gary from fighting. So I grabbed the dude, just and started fighting in this casino, and we all got thrown out, and we were all laughing, and we were just laughing. I was like, oh, this is good. These are my people, man. Fucking A, dude. Yeah. Dude, we played.
I remember you punching that guy in Germany, remember? And then Hausmeister.
Hausmeister. Oh, I was talking out with Barker recently.
Fucking head, and the guy laid there for like 45 minutes. Man.
And everyone was like, dude, you need to get the fuck out of here. And you guys put me in a car and drove me to fucking somebody's house. Yeah, to get the fuck. You're gonna go to jail in Germany. I'm like, I didn't even do anything. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, me and Hausmeister had to go into hiding for 2 days, and we stayed at remember we went to we had that college, and we had like, there was like 6 picnic tables, and they were covered with beer cans and barbecue, because we had fucking ate and drank everything for like, oh, what a great time. What a fucking. So you know what I think has to happen is Generation Kill's got to open up for Exodus. Mm-hmm. This way we can go and have some more fun, so we can go have fun, because it sounds like you guys don't have any fun anymore. So
yeah, it's a little bit of a different band. I mean, we don't, like, I don't drink. Lee still does, but Lee doesn't get into trouble. He just drinks until, like, he doesn't change almost. You know what I mean? He, like, the only change Lee does is he starts saying the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Like he gets one joke like stuck in his truck, and he'll keep saying it
over and over again. Yeah.
Like it ain't funnier the 36th time, bro.
I remember somebody. We were at a festival. Remember that festival where it was like, it was probably, we played fucking, what was that, Bailoff, Impaler, for the first time live. And it was at this festival, but it was only like a couple thousand people. It was a brand new festival. It was like in somebody's yard. There was a house.
Oh.
And I stole the gnome from the house. And then I took pictures of the gnome everywhere in the world. Right. I brought that gnome with me to like fucking 80 countries, and fucking click. Do you remember that? It
was Headbangers Ball.
Headbangers over there. That was the only. Lee got in a fight with a guy over. He said something like UFO sucks or something like that, and Lee had a fucking meltdown. And I had to fight people because of Lee. then it was all good. Then it was, UFOs all right. They're all right. Yeah. So and then they were drinking with us fucking 20 minutes later. Yeah. You know what's fucking killer is I remember all those things because I wasn't drunk. I was an instigator. I bartended a lot. We had I had some of the best times of my life, dude. I can't say enough of it. You know, when I think about stuff, I tell stories to people and talk about things. And they're like, really? I'm like, dude, you have no idea the shit that we used to do. And then,
dude, you remember like, okay, it was that that night that Rick made us fucking laugh so hard that we almost like suffocated. We all like,
yes.
Like fucking...
It was because Lee said Eddie Van Halen had the worst guitar tone on the planet, so we put on Van Halen 1 really loud and just played the whole record and just
Rick would remember we had to go find Rick like 3 times on that tour, like track him down, and he was like,
remember we had the fucking PA, Rick Hunolt, go to your bus, the bus is leaving, over the tents because he was gone. He came back. Yeah, and he came back with no shoes. I lost my shoes. Oh, dude. Fuck, man. God damn, it was fucking fun, dude. Holy fuck. Remember pulling the bus over in the middle of the night in Spain and jumping into the Mediterranean?
Yeah.
Pull the bus over, we're all going swimming. All right, fuck it. Yeah, that was
Barcelona.
Yeah, man. And then the day I tried to convince everyone that all eggplant comes from fucking New Jersey. And we were sitting there at that restaurant in Spain eating dried fish.
And fucking Ross like
Googled it under the table. Fucking I had everybody convinced. Yeah. Dude. So tell me about what you're doing with your country career. So let me talk about it. So when I met Jack, I was living at Jack's house. We weren't working because we were working on. We would rehearse and then we started recording. And I would go back to LA back and forth. But I would stay at Jack's house for like 3 days, maybe 4 days, and then I'd go back to LA and then I'd come back. And then at one point I stayed for like a month because we were tracking and we were making a record. And like everyone knows, Tom quit. There was a fucking nightmare. We were rehearsing with Paul. We're fucking doing. So I'm staying at Jack's and me and Jack would go to rehearsal together. And then we would go home. We would eat something. We usually get like In-N-Out burger or something like that. We'd eat, or sometimes Tilo would cook. Jack had all these bonsai trees in his yard, and he would fucking go out and snip them every morning, smoke weed, and play with his bonsai trees. He had water set up, and I remember hanging out there. And I smoked cigarettes at the time, and I would just sit outside and I'd hang out with Jack. And then Jack would go in his room, and he would just play the banjo. You'd play for like 6 to 8 hours at a clip. You were all about it. And then all you listened to was country music. You didn't listen to metal. You didn't listen to that's all. So that was the very beginning. And then as the years progressed, you brought one on tour. You were always practicing. And then one night I go to Gary's wedding, and you got a band up there and you're singing and playing banjo. And dude, I have to say, you were a badass. And you got the name from King. Right?
Yep.
One of those things, me and you went to we were in Spain, and we went to the Sagrada Familia, the Gaudi church. And we're standing there, we're looking, I'm like, God damn, there was like a soldier. It's a concrete artwork, and he's stabbing a baby. And I'm like, God, you're looking at. And then we look down on the bottom of the church. The very bottom are these turtles. Mm-hmm. And Jack goes, something like, what's the quote?
I can't remember, like the world rests on the back of the turtle or some shit.
Of the giant gray turtle. And I was like, dude, where the fuck did you get that from? He goes, it's from Stephen King. And that's like, dude, and then you were fucking, and then so you named your band after some stuff with the Stephen King. You got your Coffin Hunter named from that, and you have a band. And when I first time I heard you live was at Gary's wedding, and you guys were fucking awesome. Kevin on bass, Tom on drums, wearing a fucking you fucking dressed fucking killer. you had a badass shirt, you had the hat and I know you guys went out and did some shows, and I know that you actually were so in love with it, you moved to Nashville to be a part of it, to be
kind of immersed in it.
Yeah.
Sure, man. I mean, like I don't play it too much out here. Mostly because this fucking stupid pandemic shut down everything. And but I've played it a couple times out here. I came out here and I got some young guys, some young Nashville players. They play every night of the week almost.
Right.
Downtown doing stuff, and they are just Nashville heads. Everybody here can play everything. And so yeah, I mean, I moved down here. I actually moved here to learn some pedal steel.
No shit.
Yeah, and then I got here, and like holding on to the steel thing, it gave me tendonitis in my thumb here, and man, I couldn't play bass for a while, and so I'm like, I'm not gonna even fuck with that instrument.
Just from holding it. Just wow.
Yeah, because the big one, you have to like you don't really pick it up on a pedal steel. It's this big round one, and it just sits there, and you kind of wrap your fingers around it like that and move it, and then like just even doing that right now, it hurts my fucking
no shit.
Yeah, which sucks because I love that instrument. Like it's the cream de la cream of country, sound. You know what I mean? And I was just getting good at it, where I was like, I was doing the little licks, and it was just sounding heavenly to me, and I'm like,
right.
Ah! So, but it's okay because here with the drop of a hat, I can get someone to come over and
play killer for you. Yeah. Right. So let me ask you, man. So what do you have a website? Do you have CDs? Did you make a record? Did you do any of that?
I got like 4 boxes of CDs sitting in my garage.
Well, maybe somebody will buy a couple now that I'm going to mention it.
Yeah. No,
all right.
Like I don't go out and play it too often, and nobody buys a fucking CD anyway. I went through this whole thing, made these CDs, and I made a comic book that goes in it and tells part of the story of the thing. And like, kids don't fucking want to buy a fucking
man.
No, anyway.
Well, here's what's fucking weird. Generation Kill. I just finished our new record. It comes out next week, right? We have 400 pre-sales for hardcover CDs and vinyl. We're making vinyl and cassettes and all that. Like people want it.
Yeah, they buy vinyl. I'm thinking of just doing another run of that Coffin Hunter record in vinyl with blowing the comic up.
It's 9 months out.
So
9-month wait time
for vinyl. Yeah. Ours still aren't here.
I know, man.
I don't even have them yet. Like our album came out fucking months ago, and there's no vinyl. Yeah, it's a fucking mess, man.
Yeah, I was talking with Jamie from Hatebreed yesterday, and his is like a 9-month wait time, and he's trying to get some shit done. And I hooked him up with the guy I'm using. He's like 3 months. So, but still, I mean, you can only do a certain amount. You can either do 250 or you can do 10,000. It's like there's no way. Like that's how you got to do it. And it's still if you want to do a second run, it's 9 months away. So it's fucking crazy. Which yeah. So well, look, man, I know that you. I mean, me and you could talk. I could talk to you for 10 fucking hours. You know what I mean? And I look forward every time I get to see you. I get to hang out and, we always have a blast. And, hopefully Generation Kill opens up for Exodus on tour and I get to fucking drag you all over the place again, Yeah,
I mean, if you guys are just out playing, let me know. Cause I mean, everything's 3 hours from Nashville.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can get to Atlanta, I can get to Louisville, Memphis. Sometimes, like, it's weird. This is a weird town because it's Music City. There's music everywhere, and there's hundreds of bands playing at every minute here.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard for touring bands to come through.
Yeah.
Like Exodus kind of dies here. Like,
yeah.
I think we could do good now. Like at the right venue. I've seen Cannibal sell it out. I've seen Hatebreed sell it out. But then I saw Brujeria like just not hardly draw anybody. So it's kind of weird. It's a weird city. It's kind of got that like New York, LA thing where people are like saturated with, how LA is. It's like, yeah, I just saw fucking Kim Kardashian at the fucking store. I'm not impressed by your anything or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you get numb to awesome shit happening. And,
what book you reading now? I know we talked about it before. I forget.
And I haven't been reading lately. My eyes kind of suck right now. And, like reading, I just read a few pages and fall asleep.
Have you tried Audible?
Yeah, I can't do it.
No, really.
Yeah, my mind
wanders. It took me a while, and I did have my mind wandering, so I'd always have to rewind. Yeah. But I got used to it when I'm in the car. When I'm in the car, for some reason, Audible works.
The only time it's ever worked for me is when I was driving out here from California, and I finally got past Colorado, and there was nothing to look at. Then my mind would actually, like, I downloaded something and put it on the car and listened to it, and but my mind just goes. I mean, dude, like I do the same thing when I'm reading.
Yeah,
I'll read a couple pages and go, I don't even remember what I just read.
That's the like fucking weed.
I was thinking about. I was reading, but my mind is actually thinking about something else.
Yeah, did I leave the coffee pot on? Yeah.
Yeah, right. And then I'm like, wait, I just read a whole bunch and I don't even,
Yeah.
So like I can't pay attention when I'm actually reading. So, but I was reading a lot of, what it is? I'll tell you this. I was reading a lot of the new Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of the new books. And it was really good. The comics there was some really good shit going on. And then they did a couple things with the TV shows where, Filoni, who I love Dave. I mean, he's the greatest, but he threw out the canon of the book and like redid the story in the cartoon. It was in one of the cartoons and in one of the TV shows where he changed what another author had written about that same situation. And then I went, well, it was the whole continuity. And then I just lost interest in any of the comics and books.
Yeah.
Like I love, I like the stuff that they're making on TV. You know what I mean?
I like The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian was killer. The Book of Boba Fett. The first one was, the last one I didn't like at all. I didn't like the kids on the bikes on the
no, me neither. But then now there's a new one out.
I know.
I know. Pretty good. You know what it is. Okay.
It reminded me of the Who from the '60s with all the mirrors and
But they call them the mods,
right?
Because they got modifications to them,
right?
So, and then they're the mods. Well, those were the mods. The mods rode those scooters.
I know. I didn't.
Yeah, I'm okay. It's okay.
But I realized, so I always remember I'm an 8-year-old when I watch it. I'm a kid. So if I was a kid watching it, I'd be fucking blown away. And I'm all right with it. I just, sometimes those things, it's just like, don't jump the shark, dude. We're in episode 3. Don't do it yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I mean, all the Marvel shows are kind of that way too. Like they all have one thing. I'm like, oh man, but at the same time, like, compare it to what we had when we were young.
Totally, man.
We had nothing. We had Thor with the fur jacket and Lou fucking Ferrigno. Like, it was fucking lame. I mean, I love it, but it was lame.
It was terrible.
Like,
dude, I was watching Battlestar Galactica the other day on MeTV. Dude.
The original, it's so
that was terrible. Buck Rogers is the silliest. Dude, that is the fucking worst, man. Buck Rogers of the 21st century. Go fuck yourself. Yeah. But I'd have to say you were one of the most interesting people that I know in my life. I hope that I start talking to you more, because I realized that we always had something to talk about. We were always sharing books with each other. We always had things we'd pass back and forth. And then
you always read a lot more. You read a lot more than me, though.
Yeah.
You always just pound through books,
Yeah.
I was you can't read drunk. It doesn't work. You know what I mean? I was going to bed like just bump barely. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Like my reading increased a lot when I quit drinking.
Yeah.
On tour.
Yeah, me too.
I kind of haven't been reading, but I would always do that. I'd go through phases where I don't read anything, and then on tour, like I'd start 3 or 4 books, and then I'd have to fucking wrap them up.
Yeah.
Like it's weird. Like I don't read anything, or I read 3 books at the same time.
I remember I used to have to bring like 10 books on tour because I couldn't find books in Europe in English. So I would have to bring a bunch with me, and like, why are you bringing all them books? I'm like, fucking, what else am I going to do?
Right. That's why I started reading on the iPad.
Yeah.
I would just buy like 5 books and just have them sitting on my iPad, and then you can read it in your bunk good because it lights up, and but
well, I hope one day, man, I get to go on the road with you again. I hope we get to go do that.
It'd be fun.
So I'm going to ask you some questions, man. So let's go through your list of songs. Now they're not really technically your favorite songs, but maybe songs that change your life, and songs that you still, because I realized recently I was listening to Queen, News of the World, and it was the first record I bought my money, and I realized I put it on the other day, and I'm like, I still listen to the music that I've been listening to my whole life, my adult life anyway, and so what songs, let's go through a list. I'm going to make it a Spotify list for people that are interested. They'll go on, they can click, it'll be like Jack Gibson's song list, and it'll be like boop, and then all the songs will come out.
Okay. So I wrote down Rhinestone Cowboy by Glenn Campbell.
Was that a song that hit you as a kid, or was that one that came out?
Yeah, that was
after you started liking country. Okay.
Like I kind of looked like a little Glenn Campbell when I was a kid. My mom kind of cut my hair like his, and
shit.
And I loved for some reason I loved Rhinestone Cowboy when I was a kid.
I like Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog. That was my big song.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So and then I put Convoy, which is the song that I had talked about before, trucker. And so already as a kid I was like, I liked country music. I didn't know, but that was kind of what was in my ear. That's kind of, I think, how I fell back in love with it later in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I would hear it and go, yeah, this is good shit, and it, like good country music always takes me straight back to the 70s.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Like I'm just living in the 70s again, going, yeah, I remember sitting in the back of the Pinto, and I remember the weird colors of my mom's clothes, and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like I just remember all that shit, like the green, the 3 colors of green in our carpet, the shag green, you know what I mean? Like I remember, like old times like that. So
when I hear ZZ Top, I remember my dad had one of those tables that had it was electric cable, and he had finished it, so it was on. It reminds me of that, and those crochet plant holders. That's whenever I hear ZZ Top, I'm like, That's what just comes in my head, man. Those two things from my childhood. Yeah.
So funny. I just saw some of those like crocheted plant hangers somewhere. And I like was like, man, like I was looking at them, like thinking about how you make them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
thinking about old hippie chicks, you know, tying them together and
no bra on, the fucking nipples hanging out through their shirt.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Big old bush the size of my beard.
So, how many songs was I supposed to have?
I said 9 or 10, whatever, man. I mean, because I'm gonna add my favorite songs that you play on to the list, so I'm gonna make it a good list of songs.
So
I put Red Barchetta on there already because I knew that it was one of the songs that you loved.
Yeah,
so,
Red Barchetta, and then Unchained by Van Halen, because that video kind of like that video was a turning point for me.
Really?
Yeah, like seeing them live, you know, like then I went the next time they were around.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like that was, I was like, wow, they're fucking like rough and raw and not afraid of anything. And you know what I mean? It was just live and just fucking.
I did the same thing, man.
You know what I mean? And so that kind of got me listening to, like, I was a Rush guy before that, and then that got me listening to more like, you know, rock and like, you know, not heavier music, but I mean, it turned me towards heavier stuff for sure.
Okay.
You know, oh yeah, shit, what the fuck is he doing? And then that, you know, drew me into more heavy stuff. Like, so the next song is Call of Cthulhu, because like that's when I was stoned and drunk in the back of my buddy's car, and he was playing, you know, he'd always play stuff, and then that song, because like, you know, the lyrics always rubbed me a little bit wrong. Like if you were a rock guy, then like thrash lyrics were like, oh god, it's a little too much for me. And so then I heard Call of Cthulhu, and then I'm like, oh, I get it. Like that.
That's the instrumental, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
No, it's
oh no, that's Ride the Light. Yeah, that's
it's
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fuck. I was
it hit me, and then after that day, I understood thrash.
Yeah.
Then like the rest of the record sounded good to me. Then Slayer all of a sudden started sounding good to me, which before it sounded like fucking garbage.
Right.
Like it just sounded like
yeah.
I was like, no. Right.
And then it made sense.
Then all of a sudden it made sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, after Call of Cthulhu. So then the next song's Angel of Death. Because that was my next, like, you know, the next step of descent into that of music, you know. So then, and then I have A Lesson in Violence written down, because that's the first Exodus song that I ever played with those guys. We did it with War Dance.
No shit.
At the War Dance show, we had Rob Flynn come up and play. We did Lesson in Violence, and it was a fucking mayhem. Like it was at the Berkeley Square, this tiny little thing, and like we started playing, and then all of a sudden there was like 25 people on stage. Like Chris Kontos like is hitting everyone in the crowd with his cane, and like it's totally, like it's
I did last year. I went and hung out with I went up on stage and did a lesson of violence with Machine Head here in Phoenix.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
it was killer, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of, then I was, then the next step from there, I'm in, Exodus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah. All right.
then you can just play an Exodus songs or whatever, from there.
So what's your favorite song on Exhibit A? I'll focus on that.
Yeah, let me look at Exhibit A here.
Mine was Children's pretty badass, but the song we never played live was Bedlam 123 was pretty fun to play live. We only did it a few times, but that was killer. But Atrocity, the song is so fucking crazy and fucked up. That's kind of why I like it the most on that record. So,
how come I don't fucking see it here? Oh, I know why. Okay, here it is. So, okay, we got Call to Arms, Riot Act, Funeral Hymn, Children's. Those are all pretty good. Icono, Garden of Bleeding, Bedlam's pretty.
Iconoclasm. Yeah, that's a cool one,
dude. Yeah, Icono's a good one, but we play it all the time. So I'm
yeah.
Like that's one of the ones we always actually throw into the set. So on that. And then I don't know. I kind of like Funeral Hymn is too long.
Yeah.
But man, it's fucking great. Like Funeral Hymn on the Bakken DVD, it's pretty fucking great, man.
It's fucking killer, man. Yeah. There's like 4 minutes. I was running behind Tom and I'm fucking hanging out with because there's 4 minutes in the middle of it where I don't do anything. So I'm like,
right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I do love that song. So I'll put that one on there. That's a good one. Yeah.
I mean, it's a long one, but I like it.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, all right. Then I'm gonna add a bunch of songs from here that either remind me of you or that I think that you are stellar on, which is you were stellar on everything, Jack. And like I can't. I'll say it again, dude. You were one of the most interesting people I know, and you were truly a fucking killer friend, and it was fun as shit to have you on tour, man.
Like every one of those albums, that I'm on, it's we wrench that shit together. Like all of them it's as stressful for me as it was for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I get in there and Gary and Andy, every time we get in there, everything needs to be tweaked.
Yeah.
I did it this way, and Gary goes, "No, try it like that," and I'm gonna try it like that. Bitch, I just worked on this for a week. You know what I mean? And it's always like that. Like I'm all like this last one, man. I was not happy during the make. Like I was not happy with myself.
Yeah.
Like I was happy because everybody, it was this cool little environment. We were all up at Tom's and we were just making steaks and everybody was cool. Very cool hang, right? But like not feeling good about what I was playing.
Yeah.
And I was like I fucking stressed myself out over it. You know what I mean? And like I listened to it, it's good. Like it turned out good. But like I remember like what was going on during the sessions, and I was just like my head was like I was all over the place.
Yeah.
Trying to, nail things down, and I was not playing them right, and like let's just move on to the next thing. And like I was just like I was fucking stressing. The guys were coming up going, "You sound great. What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Like Zet's like, "I heard it. What the fuck are you talking about? There's no problem,
Yeah.
And I'm like, "You don't play bass. Shut up." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, Blood In, Blood Out was like that for me. Blood In, Blood Out was a fucking nightmare.
It's just like that though, dude. I mean, it's just you have to. I have to grind every one of them out.
Yeah.
Like you think you just go and oh yeah, and blah, 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 blah. but like the way we make music now, like every fucking note gets scrutinized.
Yeah.
Like every single one, you know what I mean? It's like,
do you remember we went surfing down in Half Moon Bay? And we get to the beach, and I stuff myself in that fucking wetsuit, and we go down the water, and there's like 20 people out there in the water, and I go, all right, everyone can be safe now. When the sharks come, I'm gonna be first. You're all safe.
We were like,
fuck, dude.
Two baby seals walking out there. You know what's funny, dude? I don't know if I ever told you this story about Carlos. Carlos, you know, our Spanish, you know, German Spanish friend. Yeah. So we were gonna, he was down in LA and I was down there, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna go surfing, you know, and he's like, all right, you know, tomorrow I'll come down there, and you know how he is, he'll do anything.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
And he's like, all right, I'll meet you down there, and I'm like, we'll get you a board, we'll get you a suit, like, you know, I had it all like lined up. We were just gonna go down to like, you know, Laguna and fucking surf, you know what I mean? It was gonna be cool. And I said something to him like, man, you know, like, I can't wait to see you in that wetsuit. You're going to look like a fucking seal or something like that. You know what I mean? Right. And so there's something about being a fat ass in a suit, looking like a baby seal or some shit like that. Right. And so then that day he fucking, you know, he's in California, he's in LA. So he goes to the fucking weed shop, you know, and buys like, you know, I'll take that and that and that and that and that. And he ate it all. Because, you know, Carlos, right?
Yeah.
So he ate like 8 edibles or some dumb shit like that, you know. Like he got the munchies, so he'd eat more edibles, you know how he is, right?
Yeah.
And he fucking like he got scared of like my comment about being a fat seal, like stuck in his craw, and he flaked on me the next day and told me he wasn't feeling good. And then like a month later, he's like, I have to tell you, man, like
I got really paranoid. I got
really paranoid because you told me that I was going to be like a seal, and I thought I was going to get eaten by a shark. I was like, you motherfucker.
Oh, well, dude, this has been an amazing conversation. I know that we'll do this again in the future and never run out of shit to talk about. I mean, I could talk about shit forever with you. And I hope to see you soon at some point. And I thank you for doing this. And I'll make the Spotify list, and I'm gonna clean it all up and edit it so it looks all killer. And I'll make your list. And dude, like I said, I wish you all the best in the future. I hope that we get to go out on tour again at some point somehow. And
I hope we get to start touring again, man.
Yeah, do anything. Yeah. So, but I know that you're gonna come through here in May, and if I don't see you before then, I'll see you then. And and I appreciate you, Jack. I really do. You're awesome.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, I love you, man.
I love you, brother. Be good.
All right, brother. We'll talk later.